Yo, yo, mic check, 1, 2. Yo, yo, yo. Yo, 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 yo. Let me know if my mic is sounding all right, man. Hold up. There we go. There we go. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? Man. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, man. Hopefully the audio's coming out clear. Shout out to all y'all who are already up in the chat. I'm gonna kick it with your boy for an hour or so. I got some time today. So, you know, we're going to chop it up a little bit about what's going on, man. What's going on outside right now, because a lot of nastiness is definitely going on outside. I do definitely want to shout out some people who are already here. You know what I mean? So if you lurking in the chat, say what up, man. Don't be shy, man. We ain't gonna bite your head off or anything like that, bro. And I actually want to have an open mic a little open discourse. If you're not already in the Good Gaming Discord, just let me know and I'll send you an invite. If you're already in there and you just haven't got like the pass to every single channel, just let me know as well. And I kind of want to have an open dialogue a little bit today. And I do love hearing different people's point of views and perspectives about different things. You know, I think that's how you have a healthy dialogue, a healthy conversation about things that's going on. You know what I mean? I'm not one of these people that kind of close their ears to, you know, opposing opinions and stuff like that. I actually love hearing other people's perspective about other things. So I do want to have an open conversation. If you do want to hop in here and give your 2 cents about anything and just come and chop it up with your boy, you're welcome to. All right. So if you need a Discord invite, it should be in the description below. But if you need one, just let me know. I'm reading the chat. I'm reading everybody's comments in the chat. So, you know, get engaged and let's have some fun, man. Who knows? Maybe a couple people will stroll up in here and we can have a nice conversation about what's going on outside. But I do want to shout out a couple people. Yo, Jazzy Jefferson. Yo, shout out to you. I think you were supposed to be on the podcast. J-Man was trying to get some Nintendo representation on the podcast last week. But, you know, due to certain circumstances, we couldn't do a podcast last week. So we'll be back this Thursday where, you know, we're going to get everybody's perspective on, you know, also what's going on with, you know, with the whole Nintendo Direct and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I see some people already joining the open mic waiting room. Yeah, just hop in the open mic waiting room and I'll drag you in a bit as soon as I just get this little, you know, monologue off real quick and these shout outs off, and I'm gonna drag y'all here and we're gonna have some decent conversations. Hope maybe some of y'all at work, you know, hopefully I can make your day a little bit better. All right, so Jazzy Jefferson, yeah, you were supposed to be on, man. Hopefully you could come next week. You know, you wanted the good ones. I fuck with you, Jazzy. I ain't gonna lie, I fuck with you. You wanted the good ones, yeah. You know, from the other side, you wanted the good ones. The Sly Crow, what's good? Video Game Lover 58, DX Taker, get this work. What's up? No Envy. Killer Cam for show. FY Law 95, what's up? What's up? John, what's good? OJB, what's up? What's up? What's up? Blade X. AKL Max, what's up? So even in the chat, man, you know, I'm shouting out everybody who's commenting, and we're gonna have some healthy discourse because there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff going on in the gaming industry right now. All right, so obviously the big thing that happened the past couple of days was the Nintendo Direct, right? The Nintendo Direct was like the big, you know, ongoing conversation that happened last week. And truthfully, watching the Direct, I actually thought it was actually pretty good. It was actually a pretty good Direct, yeah, if I'm being quite honest. I think we got a clear message of what the Nintendo Switch 2 was going to be, and we got a good look at some of the lineup of games that they got coming up and some third-party support. I actually thought it was actually a really good Direct. All the bad news and shit, I think most people actually thought it was a pretty good Direct, and people were hyped right after it. But, you know, the bad news kind of started kicking in after the Direct was over because it was a little sketchy. I remember watching this shit and I was like, yo, they're not going to talk about the price. That was a little sus to me. I ain't going to lie. I'm like, yo, they're not going to mention anything about this thing's price and how much it's going to cost during the Direct. So I thought that was pretty odd. And that led me to think that, yo, it's going to cost more than I think we anticipated it to cost. I think a lot of people were around the $399 price range American. But after that, they didn't disclose the price during the Direct. I'm like, okay, it's gonna cost more than $399 because ain't no way that they did this whole show without talking about the price and it's gonna come out after the fact. So, but besides that, I actually have no complaints in terms of what I saw. I was a little bit disappointed to not see them kind of embrace game achievements. And that's been an ongoing conversation about will Nintendo ever do trophies, will Nintendo ever do achievements, but they did not talk about that. But it was funny enough, they talked about game chat. Finally, we're gonna have some sort of system level type of game chat on the Nintendo Switch. Which okay, Nintendo, welcome to welcome to 2006. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm glad that there's some form of game chat on there. It was pretty cool how they had this whole kind of Discord kind of integration in a sense, like seeing other people's screens. But at the same time, yo, did y'all see how nasty that shit was? That shit was running disgusted. You know what I mean? Having those other screens available, like other people's live streams and shit, that shit was running terrible. And nobody's going to use that joint. We're going to keep it 1,000. I'm glad it's there. It's one of those features that, like, yo, it's glad that it's there, but nobody's going to use that joint right now. You know what I mean? So, hopefully the console does have on-system messaging. I think that would be a pretty cool feature, but I don't think they showed that. Like, having the ability to send out a quick message to your friend, I think that would be pretty dope, but we'll see. I guess that's yet to be seen, because I know with the Switch, everything was on the app, which I always found that not as intuitive, because, like, why? Like, I don't want to juggle between two devices to get shit off. Like, I always thought that was stupid. It was fucking stupid, bro. I always thought that was dumb as hell. But yeah, man, what's it called? Mario Kart Worlds. Wow, bro. Talk about a system seller. See, I'm somebody, look. I've been playing Mario Kart my entire life. On God, bro. I've been playing Mario Kart my entire life. Truthfully, I actually didn't start my Mario Kart journey on the Super NES or anything like that. I actually started with 64. Mario Kart 64 was my first Mario Kart. And ever since then, I played every single fucking Mario Kart with friends, with family. And it's literally been one of my favorite franchises of all time. So, me looking at Mario Kart Worlds, I know some people are kind of trying to downplay it a little bit, but I was super impressed. I was super impressed with what I saw in Mario Kart, man. I was very, very, very much impressed with what I saw in Mario Kart. I thought that game looks like it's going to be a blast. I do like this whole kind of open world thing that they're doing. Like, it's almost like Forza Horizon. It seems like they took a little inspiration from there, where everything is like an interconnected circuit, where you can drive to the next circuit and stuff like that. I think that's pretty cool. I think the big looming question is, with this free roam mode, is there any sort of activities that you can actually do, versus are you just driving around aimlessly? But I think we're going to learn more when it comes to, I think they're going to do a dedicated Nintendo Direct where they're going to talk about what you can do in the free roam open world, because I heard that there's still some stuff they have to announce. So but yo, the Mario Kart shit look fire, bro. I have nothing bad to say about that Mario Kart. That shit look incredible, absolutely incredible, and is easily going to be a system seller. The Donkey Kong game, man, it really did look like Super Mario Odyssey 2, but with Donkey Kong, you know what I mean? And I feel like I heard somewhere that, like, the Super Mario Odyssey team is actually the one that made it, so it makes a lot of sense why it does give off the vibes of a Mario game, because I think the people who made Odyssey made this Donkey Kong game, and the Donkey Kong looked pretty good. I saw a lot of conversations about people saying that Donkey Kong looks a little goofy, and they don't really like the character model because he did get some sort of redesign. I'm a little bit indifferent about it, but I did think the gameplay looked pretty cool with that new Donkey Kong. The From Software announcement at the Direct too. That one was definitely interesting. Like, when I seen that, I can't even lie. My hype was on 1,000 until we got details that it was gonna be a PvP VE multiplayer game. Then I'm like, oh shit. Even though I still want to try it out, but I can't even lie. My hype for that completely died down a little bit. Even though it still could turn out to be pretty good, but I'm not as excited about that as when it was announced. Like, it really did look like some Bloodborne 2 type shit, but it didn't turn out to be that way after we learned the details. Like, it's a more of a multiplayer experience. Anything that sticks out? Okay, I have no personal experience with Kirby Air Ride. I think again, that game launched on the GameCube. From when I was doing some research, it seemed to be some sort of racer as well, where almost like a Mario Kart to a certain extent, where it seems like you can attack, you can fight and attack your fellow race companions and stuff like that, or whatever. I'm indifferent about that. But the person who created Smash Bros is directing it, or the director of Smash Bros Ultimate is doing it. I believe his name is Sakurai, so I know a lot of people are hyped about that. That one is whatever to me. I want to see gameplay first before I can have any sort of excitement for that. But I saw some people pretty excited about that too. The third party support, at the Nintendo Direct too. They had Elden Ring, Final Fantasy VII remake. They had Cyberpunk. These are games that obviously probably couldn't run on the original Switch, and these are games I will never buy on the Nintendo console. I ain't gonna lie, I'm buying this on the PlayStation or I'm playing it on PC. Like, but it's good to see that Nintendo is getting some a better form of third party support with some of these major titles like a Cyberpunk and something like that. And so that was pretty interesting to see as well. Outside of that, I can't really think of anything that stood out to me. Um, I thought it was pretty lame that the welcome tour it's a paid experience, which I think that's a mega L. Like, how you charging for a welcome tour of the Nintendo Switch? Like, that doesn't make no fucking sense at all, right? So I thought that was a mega L, and I hope nobody goes out and supports that and buys that. I don't even care if it's $5, $10. I hope nobody buys that. That should be a easily a free pack-in. And it's funny enough that Nintendo literally, as a company, released the greatest pack-in of all time, and they're being so cheap with this little welcome tour pack-in. The greatest pack-in of all time to show off what the console could do was Wii Sports. Literally, Wii Sports is a goated pack-in game. Like, people played that game literally for years and years and years after the fact. They literally have the greatest pack-in game of all time, which is Wii Sports. It's funny now that all of a sudden they're doing this with this whole welcome tour. They're not giving it out for free, which is pretty lame and disappointing. Yo, one night, jump in here if you're free, man. Jump in here. Jump into the private chat. We free, man. We just gonna be chopping it up about some stuff real quick. But yeah, circling back to what I was originally saying. After watching the direct, I was pretty sold on the Switch in the sense of it as a console and what it's offering. But all the bad news came after effect. And hold on, I think somebody is ringing my doorbell. So give me one quick second. I'm gonna be right back. One night, hop in here if you're available. Hop in here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna be right back, guys. Hold on, bear with me. How do I put this? All right, there we go. Yo, one night. Is this shit even work? Yo. Hello. Hello. Can't even hear nobody right now.
Hello?
There we go. What's up? Y'all good?
Yes, sir.
That's good. All right, so before we continue the discussions, I just want to get y'all initial thoughts of the Nintendo Direct before we really get into all the shit show that happened, right after the fact. What was y'all impressions of it, Jazzy? I know you are. I'm pretty sure you're Nintendo focused. Like, that's your preferred console, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how are you feeling after the Direct? Were you feeling on top of the world? Were you feeling great? Were you ecstatic? What's up?
Um, I thought it was like pretty good for what they showed because I didn't know what to expect because I know they had like a direct like right before this one. So when they started to show like some of the stuff like third party support, the first thing we get is Elden Ring. And of course, like they started off like Mario Kart, the new Mario Kart. I figured most of that direct was actually pretty solid overall for what it had to offer because it really showcased that Nintendo is going to be to a lot of people that never considered Nintendo to be like a legitimate gaming platform, and that it doesn't have third party support. That went out the window with that direct that just happened.
You think so?
So I feel, yeah, I feel like that message was to get across that like, hey, this is like a legitimate platform for like third parties to get into. And plus, From Software being there like twice definitely like
Yeah,
solidified that.
yeah.
I feel like that was meant to convey to people who weren't interested in getting a Nintendo platform to be like, hey, just get on board. It's gonna be in the same boat as like PS5 and like the Xbox platforms.
I'm gonna have to disagree in the sense is I actually really do believe that even though I think the Switch will get better third party support from party developers, I don't think the Switch 2 is still gonna have the level of third party support that we would expect from a PlayStation console or Xbox series console, in the sense that the next major Battlefield is gonna launch day and date on the Nintendo Switch 2. Do you believe it's gonna be one of those type of situations where literally all the major third party studios are gonna publish their games? I don't think so. I personally don't think so. I think we're gonna run into a very similar situation that it's going to be a case by case basis, in the sense that some third party games are just not going to be ideal for that platform and they're going to skip it completely. That's what I personally think, especially looking at the hardware and what it provides. Or y'all think that the Switch 2 is gonna be almost like a standardized where it gets all the major third party support? Because I could definitely see, I could see a scenario that like it's similar to the Switch in the sense that some major games end up skipping the platform or come way later after the fact. I could still see it being like that.
I
What do
think
y'all think?
like I think they've put it in a very dangerous like position in regarding third party, not first party, third party separately. I think they've put it in a very dangerous position. Whereas, like, excluding like this, like the Switch and Nintendo regarding third party in the games like Battlefield, is what you said. Like, the consoles are reaching the ceiling really, really high of what they can possibly perform and do. And I don't think the Switch is going to be able. It's entering into a discussion where it's going to be seen as the most weakest out of the three, including the Pro as well, because that's still part of the discussion. And I feel like with the Switch, it was in its own sort of lane where it dabbled in third party, but you didn't really care in how it was comparable to the others. But I think when it's entering sort of like an arena where it's not really the most powerful this and it can look weak in in some sort of factors, I think it can shine a negative light in it. But that's excluding first parties. With first parties, it's always going to be the 10 out of 10 gaming that we're going to get. But I think regarding the third party, I don't
Third
really
party
think
support.
it's,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think it's going to be in the greatest position after a while. Not as of now because it's still relevant, but as the generation moves on, like what the games previously just started to show the signs of weakness. And I feel like it's going to hit its cap really, really quick. I could possibly be
Mm.
wrong with DLS upscaling and that sort of stuff of what they can do. I
Yeah,
haven't
they
seen
did
it
confirm that.
personally.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did
I haven't
confirm
seen
that.
it personally, but I feel like that's possibly one thing that can possibly show its hand in not being as powerful what people think it is, and like that's
I do
my
think one night I do think third party support will be better than the Switch though. When it comes to
yeah, oh
other,
yeah, hands
I do
down.
think it will be definitely better. But going back to Jazzy, you were talking about that. So do you have any closing thoughts on just your overall, like, after the direct, your feelings?
Yeah, because that really pretty much saw everything. But going back to the third party thing, I think it's because the fact that a lot of people didn't show up like initially for the Switch when it was first initially, just like a lot over time, a lot of third parties came in late or they wanted to get in on that money because of how much the console actually sold. Because right
Mm-hmm.
now it's like 150 million. So
Yeah,
now with that in mind, a lot of third parties are gonna
are gonna be
just
on
try to
board. Yeah,
instantly jump on the train a lot sooner rather than later. Because even stuff like Witcher 3, Dragon Ball Fighters, those weren't initially coming, but like a lot of stuff like because it had so much support that those games ended up coming on. And then to see stuff like Street Fighter 6, all the DLC is going to be there, and then Cyberpunk is getting its own dedicated version, and they're going the extra mile to actually put the whole game on the cart. So I feel like this time around, even like from software, like I said, them being there, like Elden Ring was the first third party game that they showed when they showed like the Switch 2 Direct. So I think going
okay.
forward, they're going to be a lot more prominent. Like some
Mm-hmm.
third parties are just not going to come over because whatever, that's their prerogative or whatever.
Yeah.
But going forward, it'll be pretty good, better
Okay.
than the Switch
So
One.
pretty much after watching, you got a clear message that third party support is gonna be much better. So that's pretty much your takeaway as well. Any thoughts on Mario Kart? You're a Mario Kart fan. Or how about DK? Like, what do you think of those games? Or you don't particularly care for those Nintendo IPs?
think Donkey Kong, because we haven't had a 3D game since the N64,
64,
for
right?
him,
Yeah.
really, this was a huge major announcement because a lot of people, it's a safe bet to say like we probably expected like a new 3D Mario after Odyssey because that came out in like 2017. But for them to do like a new 3D Donkey Kong because he already has like a new model in the new Mario Kart. So now it makes sense why they did that because they in preparation for this new game. And it looks like really fun and cool from what I've seen when they ended that announcement. That's going to be the main game where I buy a Switch 2 for was the
Okay.
new Donkey Kong.
All right, that's cool, bro. That's cool. All right, so let's jump into the bullshit, right? Because at least for me, one night, I don't know if you were watching it and you were hyped. I was watching. I was a DX Taker. I see you in their chat, like in here too. I was watching it. By the end of it, I was hyped, bro. I was like, oh shit, I can't wait to pre-order this joint. And that's how we're all feeling. But it seemed like I know there was some misinformation mixed in the aftermath, but now that we have all the facts and stuff, but it seemed like a lot of bad news did come out. So I do want to have a discussion and have a conversation about obviously the price of the unit first. Then we could talk about just the price of the games, because that's like the big thing people are right now conversing about. So okay, are y'all mad at that Switch price point? For me personally, I can speak for myself. I wasn't really on the $399 Kool-Aid. I actually thought it was going to be a little bit more personally, even prior to all of this. You know what I mean? I thought it was going to be a little bit more than $399. So the fact that it came out, and at least for Americans, well, we could talk about what's going to happen later if it's going to get a price increase because of, Mr. Trump, you know what I mean, and the tariffs. But, then let's just stick with the initial price point that we know. They announced it for what for you guys? Is it $450, right? $450 for y'all. No, for at least for for the UK is what? What's the UK price?
It's $390, which I find quite strange. It's $395 without Mario Kart, but with Mario
$395.
But with Mario Kart it's $429.
Okay, so and Jazzy, for you guys, and DX, you guys are American, so it's $450 for you guys, right? For the base model of Mario Kart, and $499. Okay, all right. So can I get y'all opinions about the price? And then once again, we got more people in here. If you guys want to join, this is kind of an open mic conversation. Just join the Good Gaming Discord, and I'll drag you in, and we can have a talk. We can have a conversation about it if you want to jump into this conversation. But
bizarrely, I think the price point, I think
of the unit itself, are you mad at it?
I think it could have been a touch bit cheaper. I think it would have been best at $395 with the Mario Kart, but that's just me. But I think $399 is the most I think it should have been. $429 over here with Mario Kart, not that bad, but $399 would have been like, oh yeah, this is a surefire.
That's an ideal price point. I think everyone's ideal price point, at least in the American dollars, was $399, right? I'm not really too mad at the console unit price. How about you, Jazzy? I didn't get what you thought of it. What do you think about the price of the unit itself, or the console itself? You mad at that price? Too expensive?
No, not at all. Because initially I thought it was going to be 400 because by that point we haven't really gotten any information of what the Switch was like capable of, all the features and whatnot. Like the 4K, like 60, like 120 hertz HDR. That has not been like confirmed from like Nintendo themselves. So I didn't even expect 4K support from Nintendo or for them to even mention it in this direct. So when I went through that stream and they were showing like all the 1080p screen and all that, I was like, okay, 400 is like off the table at the very least. So I kind of expected. So 450, I think that's fine for what the Switch 2 is going to be. But it's just to make sure, like, yeah, this is what people wanted. And then NVIDIA actually came out and said it's 10 times stronger than the regular Switch. So
yeah,
people
we're gonna take that with a grain of salt, because they the same man that said the 5070. They did say the 5070 is strong as a 4090. So we're gonna take what they say with a grain of salt, because they use different types of metrics to boost up their own products. You know what I mean? So they talk shit. But yeah, it's obviously gonna be stronger than the original Switch. So Jazzy's not mad at the price. How about you, DX? You mad at the price? The 450? Is Nintendo asking too much for that price?
If it was an OLED, I would be fine with it, but it's not an OLED.
Good point. They're gonna sell the OLED maybe 2 or 3
years. It'll be $100 more.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 or 3 years down the line. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. Yeah.
If
All
it
right,
was an
so
OLED,
cool.
no issues.
Okay, so I guess the price is a hit or miss when it comes to the consensus of around, at least in the room here. Like I'm like I said, that price point is definitely on the higher side, but I'm not really crazy mad at it for what I saw. I'm not crazy mad at it. This was the one that this is what seemed to be a huge deal breaker for at least gamers, and I want to kind of not give because I disagree with it, but I kind of want to give some pushback, not really pushback. How am I supposed to say? I kind of want to see like, are y'all just talking shit, or are y'all really dead ass mad about this for real, for real? But okay, the price of games, right? This is what the shocker. Initially, I think it's been corrected, but we thought, at least in America, right? I think a standard American game costs $69.99. Am I correct on the PS5 or the Series X, right? The standard game is $69.99, right, on PS. So Nintendo is charging $10 more for their games. Am I correct in saying this, or am I wrong?
Yes.
Right. So
For
now,
digital.
not for their digital games, it's okay. But I heard when it comes to the physical games, like let's say Mario Kart Worlds, for example, like they were saying it was going to be $90, but that seemed to be wrong, incorrect, right? Is that factual? Because I've been seeing it. I've been
No.
seeing
Yeah,
listings
'cause-
from Walmart,
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
because
other
90.
places, and it's still $79 for a physical game.
yeah, for Mario Kart, it's like 80 across the board, but like physical, like 90 games. Tom Henderson from Insider Gaming reported that, and everybody just spread it around, but that was like a different currency because it hasn't showed up like any other one. But Twitter being Twitter is like once misinformation gets on there, it spreads like wildfire. So that's not true, but people are still sticking to like physical cards are going to be $90, but that's not the
That's
case.
so that's not true. Okay. Because I've been seeing listings from other websites and stuff like that, and it wasn't $90. It was still the $79.99 price point. Okay, so I guess who in this room is mad at Mario Kart Worlds costing that much? Can we get like,
I am.
I just kind of want to get a, all right.
I
Same
mean,
here.
like I've aired my points on that yesterday as well, But I do feel like not for this because Nintendo's. I think in general it's just a bad idea.
Is a bad idea, and I definitely agree. I'm in no sort of world am I gonna say paying for more is better. In no sort of world I'm gonna say paying for more is better. So Mario Kart being $79.99 is definitely a steep price because you already know for us Canadians that's gonna be $20 more. That means the game's gonna cost $99.99 for us over here. Okay, so do you think this is gonna be a standardized pricing? Because I personally so far I don't think so, because it almost seems like a Tears of the Kingdom situation. You know what led me to believe that too? Because I saw the price of Mario Kart. I mean Donkey Kong Bonanza or whatever the fuck they calling it, right? It seems like that price is cheaper than Mario Kart World. So is this a Tears of the Kingdom situation where Nintendo feels like they can pretty much take advantage with this particular franchise because they know its popularity? Or do you think, are we going to see this in the future with maybe their more prominent franchises like a 3D Mario, a 3D Zelda, and obviously a Mario Kart where they're going to up the price? Or do you think, because it doesn't look like standardized, because I look across the catalog of games that they're showing, it seems like they vary in prices. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, because like in the case of like Tears of the Kingdom, that game like cost 70, but the Nintendo actually gave like the reason they did that is because it expands, it takes more than like a 16 gigabyte card, so they had to do with like a 32 gigabyte card. And that's what their reason was, and like no other game, not even Super Mario Wonder or whatever, cost 70. It's only been like Tears of the Kingdom, but like for now, it kind of feels weird because like it's a consistent price because you have Mario Kart World being 80, but like Donkey Kong is still 70. And people expected 70 like going into this new console anyway. So
Yeah,
I feel
because
like
that's the new standardized pricing, right? For like it's $69.99, $70,
yeah,
right? For a game. Okay, got it.
yeah. And plus, because of that, it's kind of feels confusing. But we did see like the size that Mario Kart World's gonna be like 220, like over like 20 gigs or something like that. So I can see that being the case because, but at the very least, I feel like Nintendo should have probably been more
But like,
direct
yeah,
on
but like,
on getting that information out there than gaming press.
yeah, but like,
Should
should the size of the game warrant it to any cost whatsoever?
No.
Like
no,
just
because
No,
even
like
no,
so.
no,
Cyberpunk
no.
on the Switch
Yeah,
is still going to be 70.
I
with
mean,
a
like, and even
64 gig card.
and even if it's like a cartridge disc, I feel like, I mean, like games are getting what we saw that games were the games that will get produced for the Xbox and the PS5 were getting smaller in size. So like, I feel like when they put this price out there, because I just looked at it now, because I had no intention of buying Mario Kart Worlds as like a soulless game. So I was gonna buy the bundle pack. I was just immediate
It's
value.
cheaper,
Anyone that's
right?
not
Yeah, it's cheaper, right?
anyone that buys the Switch 2 on its own is an idiot unless you had no intentions of getting Mario Kart in the future because you'll immediately put yourself out of pocket. And I'm looking at it now on like game.com. It's $74.99. Like to buy just, and that's the only game that's there. I remember when I used to work in the game store, like back in nearly 20 years ago, and fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 came out, and it was the only game that was like, I think it was 59.99 at the time in pounds. And people just look at it and go, you know what? That's Call of Duty. People are gonna fucking buy it anyway, and people are gonna buy it across 2 consoles at the time. So
Mhm.
there's whatever. But you never saw any other game that do that. No
Yeah,
other game
yeah,
done that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
then you go, you know what? But I feel like we're at a point now where it's coming from the people that we least expect it, and I feel like they're gonna go, you know what? We can do it again. And you know
Yeah.
what? They're probably gonna buy it anyway. Fuck it. What can we possibly lose apart from losing off on a bit of our share, but a great deal of people are still buying at 74.99 in pounds. So I feel like if if Sony or Xbox was to start doing it, and they'll be like, cool. And then Steam games might go up that little bit edge as well. Like Steam games may
Hmm.
go up
Hmm.
about $10, even though it's cheaper naturally. People are gonna see a price increase there because like the elevator, I mean, the ceiling has been raised in pricing, and then we're going to allow it again. And I thought it's going to get to a point where everyone's going to say, "Oh, this is unacceptable," but we still have to buy our games anyway. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's a very slippery slope. And if we allow, it sounds like fucking immigration or some shit. If we allow one, we got to allow all of them. But like, I
Yeah.
think that's like that's the idea. And I think like this one example, which is a good example, which is Mario Kart World, is going to be the justification for others. Because if it was another crap game, people are like, you taking the fucking piss. You can't be
Yeah.
doing that. But
It
because it's
won't
that
work.
one game, there's that
It won't
one
work.
game to open the floodgates, it's Mario
See,
Kart World.
and you know what, and you know what's so interesting about this whole conversation too, because prior to this whole Nintendo Switch 2 situation, the reveal and Mario Kart World, before we knew nothing about pricing, we were having these kind of conversations about what are they going to price Grand Theft Auto 6, right? People were saying, yo, that game cost $2 billion to make. I think that figure was floating around that the development cost for that is $2 billion. So everyone kind of had this assumption that, yo, GTA is probably not going to follow, is going to follow a different type of pricing model because, like, ain't no way. And the funny thing is, I think people have come to terms that, yo, if GTA actually did cost $100, we buying it. Like, I kind of saw that. I kind of saw that was people's opinion. Not they were more so outraged, but I saw more people saying like, yo, no, yo, GTA 5, yo, we played that for like 15, 13 years. You know what I mean? So I can't even lie. If they drop GTA 6 as $100, I'm copping that shit. You know, I kind of saw that was the sentiment online. I didn't see really too much pushback. Funny enough, Nintendo comes out and does that with Mario Kart. And it's almost like the audacity, but at the same time, like, it seems like they also hold a prestigious franchise that they may be able to get that off. They may be able to get that off. And you were bringing up one night that, like, I don't think everyone could do this. I think right now as gamers, we're scared that, like, we see this price point, then others will try to follow. But the thing is, will other games be as successful as a Rockstar with GTA as a Nintendo with Mario Kart will be? I guess that's the looming question that what people have, or at least I have, that like I'm not 100% sure. But at the same time, I do, and this is what caused a little bit of a Twitter, and I do see the super chat donations. I appreciate it. I'm going to read it just now. But I did take a stroll on PSN, and I'm pretty sure if I took a stroll on Xbox Live and Steam, it would be the same thing. A lot of the top sellers of upcoming games or pre-orders are literally ultimate editions and digital deluxe versions of video games. I don't know if anyone has kind of taken that in. That's kind of been pretty much the trend. If you go to these digital storefronts, a lot of the most pre-ordered are actually the more expensive versions of games, where they might give you a skin, they might give you 2 days, 3 days early access to the game. So it's not that gamers are opposed to paying higher prices for games, especially even if you're getting ancillary and bullshit type of things that really should have been in the game in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, Death Stranding, right? Like the $100 version, at least the Canadian, the $100 version of that game, it comes with exoskeleton suit with but it's different colors, the gold version. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? It can that easily be just unlockable in the game? But, you know, they tie it behind a digital deluxe version, essentially just cutting out content from the game and upcharging it. And the funny thing is, one of the highest pre-orders on PSN right now, Death Stranding 2, the digital deluxe version. You know what I'm saying? So is it that, like, gamers are, like, it seems like gamers are not opposed to paying these kind of prices in there. So, you know, do you think it would have been better for Nintendo to do a Nintendo Worlds? Because Nintendo really doesn't do digital deluxes and ultimate edition. They do collector's editions of games, but they don't do digital deluxes. So do you think reception would have been just better if Nintendo just had a standardized price and just ripped out some content and been like, yo, this is the digital deluxe version for the $80, and people probably would not have been mad? Because that's what's pretty much happening in the industry. What do y'all think?
I don't think so, because even with like them, because even you said like the Death Stranding, even like that new Dragon Ball Tenkaichi game that had like a more expensive digital version for like early
Yeah,
access, and
yeah.
even Tekken 8, he even had one like during its launch, because you still get like season one, so you're not paying like 70 for like Tekken 8 because you're also paying for like season of like characters. So, and plus Nintendo has already done like season passes for some of the Switch games. I know they did it for Zelda Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade, and that's why Tears of the Kingdom it can't do extra content, because that game is supposed to be like finished. Because that started out that they wanted to figure out other like DLC stuff, but it ended up being like a whole robust game, pretty much. And
And then
plus,
like,
coming out for Mario Kart 8, because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe only got DLCs because so many people bought the Switch version so much. So they got the booster packs already on top of that.
That's what I'm saying.
So
So I guess
yeah.
my whole point of and rambling all of that, I'm just saying, do you think it would have been just better for Nintendo to do a digital deluxe version, and you think would probably all this outcry probably wouldn't be happening because now people have this option of cut
bro.
content. You can have the cut content version,
Yeah,
and
but
you can have the full complete version for the full price. You think it would have been better if Nintendo just fucking said,
the
here,
thing is,
here.
they're,
hmm
they're going to be tapping your pockets in like a year and a bit with new DLC, bro.
I could see that. I could
You know what I
100% see
mean?
that,
So like,
man.
so
I
yeah,
could
so
definitely
so so
100% see that.
so even if they lowered the price, we want them to give them more reason to charge us more DLC on top of the season pass that they're going to offer us already. So like, I think we're giving them like the whole, oh, they have good intentions behind what they're doing, or like the like the user end is going to be benefiting out of it. I don't think that's the case. I feel like this is just the price it's going to be, and they're going to take the opportunity to still charge us later, because we're going to play the game, and then we're going to be like, oh, this game's amazing. But then they're gonna be like, well, yeah, then we're just gonna sell you more thing for this amazing game. And like developers nowadays are gonna really like, they got marketing teams and that sort of stuff now anyway, and they are gonna start to like tap into us on more like cerebral level, and like the reason for to get us to spend more money. Just like we see with GTA, they can charge $100 for GTA because no one is gonna want to have the FOMO of not being able to play GTA later on.
hmm
They're gonna have these cool
hmm
adverts. They're gonna give the game to the people to say you need to play this game.
hmm
Social media is gonna have such an angle on getting people to spend more money than ever now that games cost more money. It's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna buy GTA, and if it was $100, £100, I'm gonna miss it. I can't miss out on it unless I can get it by some other way.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah,
whoever said they're
yeah,
not gonna play GTA because it's
yeah,
$100, you're
yeah,
lying. You're lying.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
lying.
yeah.
You're lying. Who you
Look,
lying
I
to?
definitely
Who
don't
you
want
lying
that
to?
price. Don't, yeah, don't. I don't want that
No, we
price. But
don't.
I
We
have to.
don't want the price.
I'm just being real with us as gaming enthusiasts. If a GTA does come out 100, like, yo, most of us are buying it in here, bro.
We're
Like,
gonna buy
you
it.
like the only people who are gonna cap with that protest shit is the people who are already not have zero interest in the franchise to begin with. Like, I always find it funny hearing from those people. Like, if you have zero interest in something, then it's obviously easy to boycott someone you don't give a fuck about something. You know what I mean? But the thing about GTA, like, it's such it's a franchise that's just so prominent, and obviously it's exceeded into mainstream stardom, even by just the casual consumers. That I think they can use that kind of dynamic pricing model when it comes to that game, and they probably could get away with it. And that's just the reality of the fact. There's certain situations that, like, yo, we don't like this, but like they kind of got you. Like, yo, like, it's gonna be hard to take a stand for some shit like
Yeah.
that for a hobby that you love. It's gonna be hard to take a stand. Be like, yo,
Everyone,
we ain't fuck with
every
no
single
GTA that costs
person,
$100.
every single person will have to say we are not buying it, and
That's
that
gonna
the
be
sales just
yeah. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't think
They'll
people are gonna
take
be
the
moving
hit.
like that.
They'll take the hit on the few people. Everyone will have to unite as a front to say we are not buying it,
Yeah.
and no one's gonna do that.
All right,
And
let me
nobody
quick.
can go with
Yeah,
like
go
the
ahead.
"I'ma steal it" excuse because like that game is gonna be on PS5, like on the Xbox, so, and it's not coming to PC day one, so you
Exactly.
can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see like how what Rockstar really does, because I feel like the power is kind of in their hands too. Like I feel like at this point they could price that game at not a regular price, and they'll probably most likely get away with it because it's literally the most anticipated game on planet Earth. They dropped the trailer and I swear it broke all sorts of records on YouTube for like the highest like viewed video game trailer of all time or some crazy shit like that. But let me read this shit real quick. Then I want to hear from other people in the room who hasn't said anything yet. This one's from Chisel of 420 says price isn't a problem because everything has gone up across the board. People want more features with a cheaper cost. Gaming is expensive hobby. It's definitely becoming a premium, a premium hobby that costs a lot. This one's from Ruffle Mike says compared to other PC handhelds, price seems fair. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I agree. I'm not mad at the Switch's price. This one's from FY Law 95. He says, Kofi, you recently played the game that has higher budget than Mario Kart World. Uncharted 4 came out in 2016. That's why the prices look so bad. Mario Kart isn't the only €90 game. Kirby is also. Yo, don't get me wrong. I think the pricing for Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, the Kirby joint, I think all of those are nasty. Don't think I'm co-signing any of that shit, bro. I think all of those are nasty as fuck because
Which Kirby game
there's
is
no,
that?
there's no fucking way that
He's
Breath
talking
of the
about the
Wild.
upgrade pack
Yeah, there's
included
no fucking
with
way
the
in
original game.
2025 Breath of the Wild should cost, retail price or even more. You know what I mean? Like 79. Like that's nuts.
No,
That's
but like I'm
absolutely
seeing
crazy.
here, like no, like on game is Kirby what the Forgotten Land and the Switch 2 upgrade. Is that game there?
The
Yeah,
Forgotten Land.
the
Yeah,
reason it's
yeah.
priced like that is because they're adding the Switch One cards, and
No, but
Nintendo they don't drop their
yeah, but like,
prices, so they're just charging
but
you the same physical game, but then they add
yeah, but
the
from what I'm seeing
paid
here,
upgrade onto that.
that game's 66.99, Donkey Kong 66.99, and Mario Kart World is 74.99. Kirby's priced just as much as everything else. It's in the same bracket, apart from Bravely Default. That's 33.99, and Street Fighter is 49.99. Mario Kart is the only game on game that like the store that has a storefront that sells games is 74.99. This Mario Kart was the only game that's that price.
Once again, I really do think the
Yeah,
Mario
that's
Kart
the only game
situation.
that's like 80 across the
Yeah,
board.
yeah. I think honestly, I really truly believe the reason why the Mario Kart is priced at that is because the last one sold almost 70 million copies, and they feel like they can get away with it. I really do think it's a Tears of Kingdom situation where they're trying to say it like it really could have been priced the same, but they know they could get away with it. I think they're doing some sort of dynamic pricing model. I don't know if that's going to be a norm in the gaming industry, especially for like prevalent franchises and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's someone else who joined the chat. I can't see your name. I think it just says 6. What's up? What's up? Your mic working? What's good?
Yo, what's good, dog?
What's good? What's good? So what do you take? What do you take of the whole pricing situation when it comes to the Nintendo Switch and games costing 80? At least Mario Kart costing $80. Like, why? How do you feel about that? And just in general.
Well, my first reaction was like, these niggas lost their goddamn mind. That's like my first,
Yeah,
my
me too. I ain't
first
gonna lie. That was my first
reaction.
reaction too. That's my first reaction. That's facts. That's facts.
But then, like as the days went by, I just realized like someone's gonna have to do it, and I guess it was them. Because like we saw the industry going that way, like 79.99 games, and like the rumors with GTA 6 being online, and it was like, if you really want to think about it, it's like uh graphics cards been like wildly expensive for like
Yeah, yeah,
last decade.
yeah. It's been pretty bad.
So it's like it was just who's gonna pull the
Who's gonna
shortest
do?
straw. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. So okay, so I guess let me ask this: do you guys think this is gonna have some sort of ripple effect in the industry, seeing that Nintendo's charging this much, in the sense that
Absolutely.
we're gonna see other
100%.
companies start
Um,
attempt to sell their game? Because if like I mentioned before, other companies are selling their games over $100, but they kind of maybe cut some content. They might kind of finesse you to buying it at the higher price, by like, oh shit, 3 days earlier, pay $120 now. You know what I mean? Here's this skin of this weapon, pay $10 more. Like companies already been finding ways for the gamer to pay more. But do you think the standardized price it will go up?
Yes.
Will go
I
up.
think it'll
Okay.
go up not
Yeah.
because of Nintendo, because it's gonna be everybody across the board just because of what's happening that's gonna
And
affect
okay.
US products like across the
Yeah,
board. But we'll get to
you
that
think
when
Well,
we get
not
also
just
there.
that.
yeah.
It typically just starts with one person starting it, and then it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Someone
Like
needs
Take
to be
Two,
the
they're the ones
scapegoat.
that started $70.
Yeah.
So I
If
wouldn't
So
pass
Nintendo
them to
can
do
do
it
it,
again with
PlayStation
GTA
games are going to
6.
be next.
yeah.
They're going to be $80. Mark that down. Call of Duty's going to follow. Ubisoft is definitely going to try because they always fight trend or chase trends pretty much. And at that point, all the publishers are going to do it. EA is going to do it. Battlefield will do it. At that point, if you're a big game, why wouldn't you do it? You're
I can,
stupid to not charge extra.
I can see Call
I
of Duty
think
doing it next because like
that,
Microsoft
yeah,
be like,
2K
yeah,
is definitely going
yeah.
to do it. Those
yeah,
customers will
'cause
pay for anything.
Call of Duty be like, well, you can either buy it or
Now play it.
you can go
See,
you
yo,
can
that's
go
what I'm
Game
saying.
And then
Pass.
Yo,
they'll
that,
raise the
You
price
can
of
go
the
Game
Game
yo,
Pass
but
tier.
you know what's so interesting because I really like you bring up Call of Duty and I think that's a franchise that low key could get away with it because it's another game that if you
Of course they will.
when that game fucking launches, y'all go onto the PSN, y'all go into the and look at which edition is getting purchased the most. It's always the fucking highest version of that shit. Even games like 2K, FIFA, when they give you a whole bunch of virtual coin and stuff like that, those are the games are always the premium edition of those games are always like the best selling shits too. So I do think certain franchises could get away with it, but like I don't know if like Remedy could get away with Alan Wake 3, $90. I don't know if that would bode well for them because they barely could sell their game at the price that it is
Once
now.
a
You know what I
good
mean?
majority of all big games become that price, you normalize and condition the customer, and that's what's
Yeah.
going to happen. It doesn't matter. Look
got
at
a
it
point.
now.
You got a
$70
point.
games are conditioned. You accept
Yeah.
it. You don't fight it anymore. You
Yeah,
accepted
exactly.
it.
It is
80
true.
will be accepted. Then
It is
90
true.
will be accepted. Then 100 will be accepted. You're going to
Yeah.
reach a day where a game is half off and it'll be $50. You're going to be like, what a steal.
Loki, you ain't lying about that because I do remember when entering the PS5 and Series X generation, and I forgot which publisher was the first one to do it. I don't know if it was 2K. It might have been 2K, but we started that $10
Yeah, it was
increase.
2K.
It was very similar to what we're seeing online today with the outrage and people being extremely upset. But once again, a couple of months pass, and now it's not even a conversation. We just kind of accepted, this is what's gonna happen. So, do you think realistically? I guess this is my next question. Do you think realistically, is there a world where us as gamers can make our voices quote unquote heard in a scenario like this and be like, yo,
No.
we're not buying this unless
No.
y'all drop the price and they actually do it? Do you think
There's
that
a
in the
simple
real
reason
world,
for that.
a real world that shit can actually happen?
There's a
that would
simple
never
reason
happen.
why.
Nah,
People
nah.
talk a big game, but once your favorite game does it, you open your wallet.
I
And
think that's the
everyone's
issue.
favorite game is something else.
I think that's the
That's
real
it. It
issue.
doesn't matter.
Because
You-
I think that
you
honestly
talk
I
big
think that's
game,
the real
but when
issue.
it's your favorite game, you never close your wallet. You never stand on it. So it's like, shut
Yeah.
up. Why are you complaining? Like
You
you're always gonna open your wallet for your game, and everyone's gonna do it for their
Loki ain't
game.
lied.
Congratulations.
Loki ain't
The
lied.
gamer is the problem
We are the
because once
most
it's your
fickle
favorite
community.
thing,
He's
it
not
doesn't
lying.
matter anymore.
DX is talking facts because look, you could say once again, you guys already know I'm a really, really big Dragon Ball Z fan. It's a known fact that I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan. I got Dragon Ball tattoo. I'm a really big Dragon Ball Z fan. When the Ultimate game, how many copies of that game did I buy? I've done bought like 3 copies of that fucking game.
This guy
I might have spent 200 or 300 on that fucking game itself. So
This
I
guy's
think
bought so
every
many
single
copies.
person here and everyone in the chat got that one software that like, yo, push come to shove, you would have paid more for it. You know what I mean? I think everyone in there, if they're gonna be real with themselves, everyone got that one game that they love so much, that franchise that they low key, I would pay anything just to kind of get this shit. And it's a problem. I could acknowledge that it's a problem as well. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's a problem. But it does exist. And I think it exists for a majority of us enthusiasts out there that like, and the funny thing is, I know a company like PlayStation during the pandemic when, it was hard to kind of get a PlayStation 5. I know they were seeing the lengths that people were going just to even get their hands on the console. You know how much people were buying the the fucking scalp price of that joint at the time when it was
Yeah.
coming. I think these companies
Look
see
at those
all of that. and
GPU
see-
scalp prices.
yeah, and the GPU shits too. Like I think companies see all of that shit. That's why they could do these incremental increases every so often because they know low key if we hit it these the demographic with these little small incremental increases that they'll bitch and whine for a little bit, but they'll fall in order eventually.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, think about
Seemed like
it.
the whole wave of
Nintendo did the smartest move. Here's what they did. They made a bundle with Mario Kart where the game pretty much is $50, right? It's not 80 anymore. It's 50.
Yeah.
That thing's going to sell. You're an idiot to buy the console on its own because you're getting a game discounted. That game is going to be like, "Oh, we sold however millions of copies." You want to know what the perception becomes? Mario Kart 8 or World, the game that sold like X million copies, and people, all the CEOs are going to be like, "That's an $80 game. It sold that many millions." They're not going to look at the nuanced detail of say, "Oh, that's a bundled price for $50." They're going to be like, "Oh, that sold a lot. We're going to do it." CEOs and these top executives do not care about the minutia. They look at the perception. $80, it sold well. We do the same thing. Voila, it's a success. You're literally going to start the $80 thing with a huge success. It's already going to get normalized. And here's the best part. Here's how it works too. Look at the games that are $60 today, right? Like the first Burger Kazan, newer studio, first game. They're trying to get their feet up, right? It's 60. It's not 70. Goodwill. What happens to like the Donkey Kongs? It's 70. It's cheaper. Perception is that's a discount because now you're normalized 80. So the $50 game is now 60. The $60 game will now become 70. So there's a tier system. The big games will be the higher price, and the mid-tier games will always be the $10 cheaper. You're just raising everything by $10 incrementally. That's it.
Oh man, yo,
Do you see $50 games anymore? Not really. Like
Not
Last of
really,
Us Part 2 Remastered on Steam is 50. Why? Because it's an old game and they ported it.
Yeah.
And it's controversial, so they're just trying to sell that thing. Like, just buy it.
Yeah, I only
So-
see like cheaper games just being like on Steam or like on the indie side still being a thing.
But even
That's
for
all I
Steam,
see.
the tier system has begun. Like Steam will always come with a price increase later. And the only reason Steam is the way Steam is Gabe Newell. The day that man unfortunately passes or just says, "You know what, I'm tired, I'm retiring, I'm gonna go enjoy my old age." What do you think Steam's gonna become? Steam's gonna be the same thing everything else is.
It happens to every big corporation, man. Every big corporation goes that way. Apple, and all these companies. Like,
Yeah.
the moment that figurehead goes, the company just shifts. It just changes.
Well, think about it. It's like you said, Tim Cook has done fucking nothing for Apple besides milk the shit out of it, keep the same phone design, give you like a 2% increase every year, and literally they monetized everything. Dude, they took away ports to sell you AirPods. They took away features to literally resell it to you. Now you need to buy a fucking charging cable. That's an accessory. They sell you the thing to charge your phone.
I
Because
remember
they want more
Nintendo
money
done
out
that
of
as
you.
well. Doesn't Nintendo do that as well? They took away the charger.
Exactly.
They took away I think it was the new 3DS.
Yeah,
I think they
it
did
was
that.
the
They
new
took away
3DS.
the charge. Yeah.
They're like,
But
oh,
honestly,
you should already have one.
But as gamers, that we have to spot the finesse. Like we're being real. Like these companies and and publishers have been looking for ways to charge the gamer more. It's just facts. In all sorts of different avenues. If it's not the upfront price, they're looking at other ways to charge the gamer more. It's just been like that, yo.
But if you look at it,
The Kool-Aid
Nintendo.
is too sweet, but the Kool-Aid is too sweet for some people to see, bro. Like they're just too blind. Like,
That's what I'm
games
saying.
like
And you know what's so interesting about, like, I was making a series of tweets about how, like, yo, y'all getting finessed by this digital deluxe shit and the ultimate editions. But that shit has become so normalized for things that usually you just play a game and you unlock it normally, right? Gamers have been conditioned so much. They've been conditioned so much for these early access. Oh, get this skin first, or get this exclusive skin if you buy the deluxe version. They've been conditioned so much that now it's normalized, so they defend it.
Unlock the skin.
Yeah, that's what it used to be.
Has disappeared.
Bro, you used to play a fighting game. I grew up in the era where you used to play a fighting game like Dead or Alive. right? And you, as you play the game and you do time trials and you do survival mode, you unlock the costumes of the custom characters.
Yep.
Nah, at this point, yo, you don't get no
Virtual
custom
fighter,
costumes.
all that type
All
of stuff.
costumes are
Yeah.
behind a paywall now. Like, that's just become normalized in gaming today. So, like, yo, the companies are just always finding ways to monetize the player, bro. Honestly,
Their
listen,
job is to make money.
listen, if Nintendo, I'm not saying this is gonna be the case, and then this is no sort of defense, but I think what would make me feel right, at least about this 80 price point for at least Mario Kart, if they came out and said that, like, yo, ongoing content won't be charged, which I know they won't do that.
That's
I know
never
they
gonna
won't do that, but if they did that, I would feel like the $80 would be more justified if they came out and
That's
said, yo,
your
this is
hope
not.
I'm kicking in, man. Drop
Yeah,
that.
that's hope. Yeah, I know it's not gonna happen. I know it's not gonna happen. But that would be ideal. Like, I don't think I would mind personally paying more for a game if they weren't gonna cut all this content. Like the whole Persona 3 Reloaded situation, they literally cut content out of that game to sell.
That game.
Yeah,
Don't bring
they
that up.
they
please,
yeah
please.
they literally cut out a
You
whole
wanna know
section
what
of the
that
game and the
content was?
content just to sell it to you later when it
Did you
should have
ever
been in
play
the
that
package.
expansion?
No, I
Did you play
didn't.
that
I didn't.
expansion back
No,
then?
I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
So here's the worst part about that game. So that expansion is $35, right? What do they bundle it with? Like a couple of skins and I think a couple of like soundtracks from old games, if
It's
I
a
remember
finesse.
correctly.
Big finesse.
No. Here's
Yeah,
the
and
kicker. Here's the kicker of the content. The content is essentially an epilogue of the game where they reset your levels back to like the very early of the game. So like if you maxed out to a level 100, right? They drop you back down to like 25. You have to re-grind through the whole game. Pretty much what you unlock is like 3-minute cutscenes per character for a little bit of a flashback, and then like an extra 15, 20 minutes of cutscene of what happened. It's literally like, here's like 35 minutes of cutscenes, but just replay and regrind through the whole game to unlock the cutscenes.
Yeah.
That's what they sold you for $35.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yo, but the thing is, what you're describing, that's become like almost a standardized practice in the gaming industry.
Yep.
Like, yo, they literally
They're
cut
gonna do that with
content and
Persona
sell
4
it.
Golden
They sell
too.
it. They,
Mark my
yeah,
words.
and they sell it in the premium editions, and they just cut shit that you should already have. But
No,
we have
no,
widely as
Persona
gamers
with
accepted
Persona,
that,
they
which
didn't
I
do
don't.
that.
And
Persona
it
was
is what
different.
it is. Yeah, and it is what it is.
Persona
But the
was
funny thing
different.
is, people won't even acknowledge it though. People won't even acknowledge that, like, yo, that's kind of like the norm. Like, yo, that's all of this shit is
Persona
finesse.
3 Reload was the dirtiest because if you bought the $100 edition, you still had to buy the $35 expansion, so it was $135.
Yeah, they finesse with that shit. I didn't even support that
That's
end game
insane.
concept. I was good with the end.
That's
I was good
insane.
with that shit, bro. I was good with that shit, bro.
I think
And
like because
I thought it was nasty business.
it gets down to the part where like people want to defend their piece of plastic, which piece of plastic has a specific game on, and like they don't want to speak
Or
up.
what
And I feel like,
game.
and I feel sometimes you just have to. And I don't know what like these companies have on people that just make them say, like they make them think that they
Nostalgia.
can't. That they can't do
Nostalgia.
anything wrong. Bro, like, I used to love Nintendo, and which some people may find fucking weird. Like, Super Nintendo is still, like, the best console. Like, my favorite game is, like, A Link to the Past. I love Nintendo, like, what it used to be. And, like, what game companies are and developers are nowadays are just, like...
Nintendo monetized your childhood memories.
Oh, 100%. Also, what they do, which pisses me off, is that they've done all this Switch 2 stuff, right? And they just allowed all this misinformation to go out and just not say anything and let everyone do them.
They don't care.
Do the explanations for them. That's what they've done. They just said, all right, yeah, look, here's all this misinformation. You guys just make whatever you want out of it. And then we'll just sit back.
If we're being honest, out of all the gaming companies, the one thing you have to give Nintendo is at some level you kind of have to respect them because they consistently will spit at their customer and their customer will take it. And it's been that way forever. No matter what you say, every generation they find a way to give the customer the middle finger, bend them over, and the customer says, sure. Don't matter.
Yo, but we gotta take it in. There's definitely levels to it, and once again, but a lot of these companies are super anti-consumer in the way. But I got a question, I guess, for the room, and I definitely want to hear from GI because he just popped in here too, right? I got a question. What's realistic ways that us gamers can fight against certain shit like this, or is it kind of a lot of the situations that we gotta lay down and just get down with it? Because I feel like sometimes our voices are heard in certain aspects where if we do make enough public outcry, things do change. But there's some situations, right, where, once again, when PlayStation announced that they're going to start charging for online, guess what? People laid down. It really, people cried for 2 seconds, but people were just so enamored with what they showed. They didn't even give a fuck that they snuck in there and said, yo, we're charging for online, by the way. And people didn't really give a fuck no more. So, Xbox already does that, so we cool. And once again, this generation came around. Oh, we charging $10 for more. So what can gamers realistically do to affect change in our hobby that we love? I guess that's my question. Y'all have any answers for that or nah?
Simple. Close your wallet.
Like honestly,
Actually make a
it's simple.
stand.
Like don't buy the game, bro. Like
Don't buy it.
don't give these
And that's
companies
the
money.
part where
Like,
everyone falls.
Yeah.
Like-
I won't lie. It is a difficult task when they show you something that's kind of fucking fire, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. When they show you something that looks heat, it's kind of hard to like say, fuck it, I ain't supporting this shit because of the price. But the funny thing is, you could have that kind of stance, but everyone else just jumps aboard and cops it in and supports it anyways, and the game goes crazy. The games go crazy. Then you're just the fool who just didn't buy it, and you're not
Even
enjoying the game,
people
bro.
it worked a few
make
times. It
that
worked a few
noise.
times. Like
Everyone's two-faced. Like everyone will scream it, and behind the scenes they'll still buy it because it's like, oh, everyone else bought it. I guess I'll just quietly buy it too.
See, that's why I don't pop too much shit online about like too much moral stance shit, because I know myself. I know myself realistically. I really love fucking video games, bro. And a lot of people who did that outrage shit about the Switch and the price, this, that. I can bet you a lot of them same folks are gonna be the same people who are gonna have day one pre-orders. It's just a reality of the fact. We've been here time and time again where people have complained about some shit, right? But we were also the first in line to buy some shit. So it's like, which one is it too? You know what I mean? It's like, which one is it? And you could be that guy that I'm taking the stand, but if everyone else ends up copping it, then like, now you're just depriving yourself from some shit. You know what I'm saying? If you're like,
I mentally break and say, do it. Screw it. I'm gonna get it too.
So fuck it. I want to play this shit too, bro. This shit's fire. I want to play
Not
it.
just that. Like for me, I grew out of Nintendo by the time pretty much GameCube era. So that's where I kind of zoned out of Nintendo almost completely, except for the 3DS because they made the remake of the third generation of Pokemon where they made Omega Ruby and whatever Sapphire. So I literally bought a 3DS just for one game. And I'm not gonna lie, I have no interest in the Switch 2 whatsoever. Didn't have the Switch either. But legitimately, if they said they are gonna re-release Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3 Pokemon on the Switch 2,
You're running.
they can charge $80. And I'll be like, those are the 3 games of Nintendo that bring me back to my childhood, and I want to relive that in like that Omega Ruby gameplay loop. And I have no shame in admitting it. I would literally buy $450
let's hear from
piece
GI,
of
bro.
plastic.
GI hasn't said a word as he entered. GI, man, how you feeling about? We're talking about the game prices and stuff like that right now, and obviously the $80 Mario Kart, $99 Canadian Mario Kart. GI, you there?
Yeah,
I do want to hear your perspective on the matter. And if anyone else wants to join the conversation, just join the Discord, jump in the open mic waiting room, and I'll drag you in. We ain't gonna be here too long. It's not gonna be a super long live stream. I just wanted to get out some thoughts. But GI, how you feeling about the whole situation with the game price point? It's out of pocket. How do you feel?
I mean, typically, this is pretty much what was going to happen when they already did a $70 increase. Because remember, when when they announced the stuff to be $70, PlayStation came out and said they actually wanted to charge, I think, 80, but they were like, we can't jump the price that quick. So within less than 5 years, you've had an increase of $20 to like, base games or whatever. Personally, I think that in the end, it's just going to balance itself out, because when you have enough people getting priced out of games, 2 things are going to happen. They're just going to buy the games, or they're not going to buy the games. But problem is, when people have to choose between their, basic necessities and video games are getting cut. So, like Nintendo can charge 80, all these other companies can charge 80, but you're going to probably see over time, how like a lot of games have legs in a sense. They're probably not going to have those. They're not going to have those legs again if they're just going to keep raising the price. People are just going to wait for sales, and if the prices don't drop, people just aren't going to buy it, because again, $80.
Good point.
That's basically $100 to most people.
Yeah.
Well, Nintendo's also done the thing where they don't do sales. Don't matter.
And that's fine. And people are either going to buy it or they're not going to buy it. But again,
you bring up a good point.
Looking at the Nintendo customer,
you bring up a good point,
buy
AI. So the thing is, I do think you bring up a very good point about a market correction, because you're right. these guys could put the price point for their games or their products at anything, right? Is whether people go in and buy it. So if they go out and put their price points at $120 or whatever the price, and those games flop, then maybe their next release they won't price their games like that for the next time. You know what I'm saying?
they'll
I
do,
think the only reason
actually?
why this shit
I just
continues
thought
is because
about
the
this.
games go on and sell extremely well. So we could keep selling our games at this kind of price point. So if the games go out and do flop, then maybe they won't be so bold to do these kind of price raises, because like you said, now
Then
people have to
that
choose
becomes.
between their essentials and a video game.
I just thought about this. If you hit that point where customers are priced out, you know what? You know what the alternative is? Buy those
Piracy.
gaming subscriptions.
Also, that too.
Get those gaming subscriptions. They're like $15-$20 a month. They just release a
too.
couple of games. You keep playing that shit. They have money in perpetuity.
But
Well, that's the thing. That would
piracy.
that would probably benefit Microsoft, not so much Sony and Nintendo. In
No, no,
fact,
no.
it'd probably
Look at it. Ubisoft's already got one. Nintendo will probably have one. Sony's gonna
yeah.
have one. EA's gonna have one. Everyone's gonna have
Well,
one.
they all have subscriptions at this
It's
point and
subscription
offer
gaming.
games behind. They all offer games behind a subscription right now. So it is true. But
That
honestly,
becomes
that
a use
model.
case
But you know,
for
that's a
more
whole
people to
different
switch.
that's a whole different conversation, because you know we already heard so many argument points on how that model is a model that may not be sustainable, especially for games that cost so much to develop, right? Like just to pile all your games in a subscription service. Like we've been seeing how that's been going on for Microsoft. We've been seeing comments from Sean Layden, and you know, a lot of smart people in the industry, much smarter than us, have made points how that, you know, subscription services may not be the best model for developers and stuff like that, and for them making money and stuff like that. So like we've seen plenty of conversations like that. Yeah, yo. So I don't know.
Also, real quick,
Go ahead.
Nintendo didn't have to actually raise the prices because Nintendo and Japanese developers in general have some of the lowest development costs in the industry. I'll put it this way. If you were to graduate college in Japan right now and go work at Capcom, you're only going to be making $20,000 a year. So
Okay.
even so, compare that to a developer in California or just America in general, where they make over $100,000. The cost to make games in Japan versus the cost to make games in America,
America's probably
Japan
I see what
has
you're saying.
it's
I see what you're saying.
significantly lower. And even if you look at this is like a little bit of a stretch, but even if you look at the size of like the sizes of games, the size of games between Switch 1 and Switch 2 is basically the same. It's not like you're getting like some drastic, you know, difference in content or a lot more content. In fact, I think one Switch 2 version of a game is actually smaller than the Switch 1 version of the game. So it's like, again, they're not spending, you know, like the games aren't getting like ballooning in scope to where they would need to be spending, you know, they would charge you, I'm sorry, $80 or whatever for it, because they're just not doing that.
Yeah,
So
it's just what they know they can get away with. Like we already know that, bro. We already know they. All right, so I kind of do want to shift the conversation a little bit to get a little political. You know what I mean? People always say I don't talk politics. I don't want to get political and this that, but it seems like politics are kind of affecting our hobby in the real way, because you know, never have we seen what's been going on, right? So with the Nintendo Switch 2 in America, the pre-orders have been halted pretty much. The console's still gonna come out June 5th, but they have delayed the pre-orders because Nintendo wants to reassess and reevaluate, I guess, their position and how much the Switch is actually gonna cost. Because a lot of people were thinking that $450 price point was actually dumb, incorporating maybe the cost of building the unit and tariffs and stuff like that. So that's how some people justify that even $450 price point. Like we're seeing excuses on the timeline for that. But now we're seeing that, yo, the price may or may not go up. So I guess my question for y'all is, with what's happening, do you think Nintendo will come back and actually increase the price of the Nintendo Switch in the United States of America? I guess that's my question to y'all. What do y'all think? Do you think we're about to get a price increase for the console, or y'all think they're going to keep it the same?
If
I
they
guess that's
can't
my
get a
I
question.
think it's
negotiation.
possible. Just
think-
hold on. I think it's possible just because, you know, Nintendo, they didn't show the price, which is so out of the norm for them to do that in the actual Switch 2 Direct. because everybody is watching that. So if they had to increase the price because of tariffs, then they would have to double back on it because everybody saw like the 450 price point. So for them to withhold like pre-orders and you can't buy any of their games or the Switch 2 in the US right now. So because they moved like to their manufacturing to Vietnam because of like the tariffs, and they're gonna end up having to pay for it affected by that anyway. So I feel like that's why they kind of withdrew the pre-orders because that might change, or it might be just like a limited time thing for like early adopters. But I can definitely see it being priced more depending on how this tariff situation goes. Because this situation is not going to just affect them; it's going to affect Sony, Microsoft, even
Everyone.
like graphics cards, anything like any U.S. product in general. So we'll find out when we do, pretty much.
So
So
in
But just brace
2019,
yourselves.
they were
so
going to
real
hit
quick
tariffs.
question. Is everybody in here like supporting what Nintendo is doing? Is that what's going
No.
on? Like
I don't think
everybody's like fine with it?
I don't think anyone's
Nah.
supporting it.
But they'll
Okay.
still get it.
Yeah, like no
Okay.
one is there is like okay with like, if they increase for price or like whatever.
So do you think that they're getting to a point with the games, at least the major games? Do you think they're going to reach a point where they price a lot of their customer base out of buying the the Switch 2 versions of the games?
No, because for the Switch 2 versions, it just only applies to like Switch 1 games. So for them, like they made it to where like if you have the NSO expansion, all these upgrades are like basically free to you. And
Okay.
so there's a way to like access it. And of course, you don't if you already own them physically, you don't need to buy the Switch 2 upgrade editions with the case. You can just pay for like the upgrades yourself if you don't have NSO.
Okay, so you're you're
Okay.
you're talking about if you have the online, like that's how they're trying to get you that you get some shit for free if you sign up for their online, right? That's what you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but even then, I wish it was still free. But like, I understand because like Sony's also
Yeah,
doing
you know,
it because they used
I
to
don't
give
like it. I
upgrades
don't
for
like that,
free.
yo.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
don't like it either.
I don't like it. I don't think anyone in here is gonna sit out here and really say I want to pay more.
Right.
But I guess the real question is like, are you going to pay more because like you want access to these games, right? Like, are we gonna
Yeah.
like, I think that's more so the question. I don't think anyone in here, look, shit. If games went down to $20, I'd be happy as fuck, bro. I would own more video games. I'll buy more. You know what I'm saying? But I think is more so of the question of how are we gonna deal with this, as a community. I know most people are gonna say vote with your wallet and don't buy it and stuff like that, but somehow we're gonna get a sales report, and Nintendo puts all their earnings online, and we're gonna see fucking the next Mario Kart with 20 million copies sold. So like then what, is my protest enough? I don't know if my protest is enough like that. So you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So it's definitely gonna be
because
interesting.
people are not factoring that just because us like we follow news like heavy, like we also got to factor in the people who don't follow gaming as much as we do, like the casuals or whatever. Those are the ones that are like, and they're not
And those
really
are the
chill or
whales
anything
too.
because they
And
don't
those
know
are the
no
more
better.
those
They're
are
just gonna buy and not care.
yeah, and those are actually the
Not just
whales.
that,
Those are
don't assume
yeah.
every gamer buys every game. Maybe some
That
people only
yeah.
buy
Yeah,
5 games, and this is one of those 5 games.
Yeah, that is
yeah.
true. That is true. I think there was a stat. I don't know how old it was, but there was a stat I felt like I was reading, like the average American buys like what, three games a year, or 3 or 4, something like that. It was very low. Us obviously as enthusiasts, yeah, we
Mm.
buy many games a year. But like the average person doesn't buy so much games a year. So maybe to them, they don't really give a fuck because they're gonna be playing this for majority of the rest of the year. So I don't know. I guess we're gonna see how everything falls in line eventually. But while I stepped away, did you guys put y'all inputs on if y'all think the shit's gonna cost more, like the Switch is gonna cost more in America because of these tariffs that Donald Trump has imposed in Vietnam? I did see that Nintendo did move their production to that country because they were trying to avoid the tariffs, but it seems like
And they got hit.
they got hit by a
So
massive tariff. So
here's the thing: historically, in 2019, the United States was doing something similar, and that's where Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony banded together to say, "Hey, like we can't do this because you can't manufacture these products in America. Like the setup isn't there, and they actually won that, and they got an exception then. So if they reach an exception again, no. But I think the likelihood of them hitting the exception this time is less. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think
I
it's gonna
wouldn't be
be okay.
surprised if you
So
get hit with the price increase.
okay, so I guess I'm gonna throw a scenario out there. So if it turns out these tariffs do impact the price point of the Nintendo Switch 2, and I don't see, the thing is, it's kind of hard to gauge like how much more it's gonna cost. But if it ends up, let's just throw a number out there. If it ends up costing $100 more, will that price out a lot of people? You feel like from purchasing
100%.
people out of it, and people will not
Some
$100.
support it?
people, yes, but here's the other thing: the average American has no problem being in debt. So listen, FOMO
Credit
purchasing is
cards,
FOMO
Fuck.
purchasing,
Hold
and
credit
on.
the thing with
cards.
younger people, doom spending is a real thing. It's like fuck it. If my life's going to shit anyway, might as well take this thing, buy it now, and enjoy my life. Because
Yeah.
who the fuck knows what tomorrow is?
That's how I
And
used to
that
be when
is
I wasn't
the
financially
reality.
thinking straight back in the days.
So you understand that point of view, and a lot of people are in that
Nah,
mental space right now. So
nah, bro. If they
So what do you think,
price it
RJ?
at if they price it at, let's say they price it at 550, right? If they price it at 550, it's going to immediately impact because they have projections on what they expect. Even if you include the tariffs or whatever, they have numbers behind the scenes. Okay, this is what we anticipate. This is what our goal is. And if they price it at a point where it's pricing a lot of people out of that day one purchase, even if it's a percentage, say it's not, it flops. Say it only hits it 20% less of what they anticipated. They're going to feel that. They're going to feel that, and they're going to have to make adjustments on the back end. You know what I mean? So it might not be to a point where it flops, but if it's a marginal percentage that hurts them on the back end, yeah, they gonna feel that, and I think that they'll adjust the price, even if they got to take the hit, because we know a lot of these companies don't make much on the hardware anyway, so they're really trying to make it up on the software side, regardless of the fact. So I think they're gonna try to keep it as low as possible.
Yo, Meds in the chat. Shout out to Med. He says motherfuckers are gonna use Calma to cop their shit. That's crazy. Four payment installments or some shit like that, right? Oh man, that's crazy.
dude, you could do
Those
that with
companies are gonna
food
get
now.
it.
Do
I
you
can do that with
understand?
food.
People are
That's
buying
crazy.
food like that in this
Yeah, that's
country.
true.
So
Yeah, no, not the
trust
yeah,
me,
the
people will
economy is
find a
bad.
way to
The economy is
rationalize the
bad.
Switch. Don't worry.
Yeah, the
They
economy is
will
pretty
find a
bad,
way.
yo. Yeah, you ain't telling no lies about that. I don't know. I don't know if I have any more really to discuss or really add or talk about the conversation, but it was definitely fun getting. I do want to read some super chats actually before I get the hell out of here. This one's from Bias Gamer 77. He said, "Get a third job already, for real." The Sly Crow with a $2 super chat donation. He says the 3DS sold like shit, but I still bought the 2DS. And that is very interesting. You do bring up a good point. The 3DS was an example where Nintendo actually did price their console too high. I don't know if you guys remember the whole ambassador program and stuff like that, and they had to do an immediate price drop for that console because that console initially at launch was not doing well. I don't know if you guys remember that time.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
but
gonna be
that
very
was different
interesting.
Nintendo.
Yes.
Yeah.
But who knows? If the Switch, look, like any company, if a product is doing really bad, it will go down in price somehow. They will make adjustments. Look at the PSVR 2, for example. Like we all know it wasn't selling like hotcakes. PlayStation did a permanent price drop, right, for the VR headset. So I think the same could be for the Nintendo Switch, but the problem is I don't know. I think it's gonna be popular. That's what I personally end up thinking is gonna happen. That the console is just gonna be too popular. That I think people
Well,
might
they
still
did the
eat this
smartest
up.
thing. That's why they put Mario Kart as the
That's what I'm saying. They
system
put a
launch
game that
title.
they put something that they know
They put
people
their
want
biggest banger
Yeah.
first.
besides like a
First.
Zelda.
Honestly, you know what? It's a great point because honestly, I don't think the Switch would be as appealing to me if that game wasn't there day one. The Switch 2. You know what I mean? I don't think I would even care so much, truthfully. But just because that game looks so great, now it has you kind of doubting yourself and thinking twice. Like, yo, fuck, I really do want to play that. And I think that was very strategic by Nintendo to have a Mario Kart ready for the launch of this device because they know that's going to get people. And the simple fact that we haven't got like a real Mario Kart, a new iteration, a proper one, in like 9 years or something like that. So I think it was very strategic.
It's the same thing
what they
that
did, yo.
It was the same thing they did with like the online subscription rollout. It happened because it launched around the same time as like Smash Brothers Ultimate, and that's really a game that would make anybody like try to pay up for it. Because like, how are you not going to like get out of that
Yeah,
situation? So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah. All right, yo. That being said, we've been streaming for like an hour and a half. It was definitely some good conversations in here. I do appreciate everybody joining in and hopping in and putting their 2 cents in that. I do want to do more open mics in the future. So if you guys did enjoy this, leave a comment and hit the like button, man. Don't be scared of that button. Hit that like button, and you're gonna see us real soon. Maybe I will do more of these, and I mean open mics when there's actually something to really discuss for real, and get some of the viewers in here so we could chop it up. But I do appreciate everyone tuning in. I do appreciate everyone coming in and commenting. Shout out to 121 viewers in here live. I do appreciate all y'all tapping in with your boy. And yeah, we're gonna end it here. And make sure y'all tap in on Thursday where we're gonna talk about this a little bit further with J Main and the rest of the peeps. All right. So y'all have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you guys next week. All right. Peace.